Hey, what's up? We got the bold video going. Um, so I wanted to talk about sertraline, SSRIs. It's like an off-brand Zoloft. Um, with anxiety. Like I decided to get prescribed it again. I'll tell you my history with it for anxiety and like anger, which stems from anxiety. All that OCD, which is like an anxiety derivative, if that makes sense. Okay, so like in 2019, I was on 25 milligrams of sertraline and I went up to 50. And then I got off of it because during COVID, I lost insurance. Even though the meds were still the same price, but labs came up. Insurance didn't even help the med cost, which is insane to me. But the labs cost came up like 2 months into not having insurance. So I opted to just wean off of it myself. That may not be recommended by physicians, but I did that and I was fine. Went from like 50 to 25 to 12 and a half to 6, and then I was done. It felt a little weird. I mean, I wouldn't recommend going strictly off of it. That's not recommended, but I did it. It worked out. I didn't go from like 50 to 0, but I went 3 whole years with nothing, and I'm back in like a year and a half to 2 years into metal fabrication. And my anxiety and like my anger was getting, with being sober, my anger levels and my irritability went up a bit, which was a good trade-off for being sober. I mean, I'll take it any day of the week. But I decided to get back on it after 3 years of being off. And before 2019, I was never on any medication. And like, to me, I was like not against it, but I never wanted any of it ever. And my opinions changed. Now I started in September on 50 milligrams and I went up to 100 mid-December. So I'm a month into 100 and I'm not going any higher. I'm going to try this for a few months. And it's a weird medication because people around you will tell you, wow, there's a difference. Like they can see it in your mentality, your anger, your anxiety. For yourself, you can feel it, but it's so gradual because it takes weeks to, I don't know how to say it, inhabit in your system to build up, that it's not noticeable because it's such a low percentage every day. And when it's at its full capacity, you don't even realize it. It's a weird thing. But I will say you can tell, like when I used to get really angry, it would take an hour or two to like fade. Now it only 5-10 minutes. It's like, okay, whatever, I move on. And I think that's the medication, the SSRI, Selective Serotonin Reuptake Inhibitor. You just don't care as much, which sounds a little ruthless, but it's a good thing for me. Because I just get over stuff a lot quicker while on it. Sometimes it breaks through and then I'm just angry a little longer. It depends on the severity of the situation or what's going on. I'm always going to get triggered. Nothing's ever 100% fixed, right? But I wanted to make this video to maybe help some people out. Maybe if they're interested in this, maybe it will help change their life. But on the other side of the spectrum, I've heard people have to go through like 10 different brands of SSRIs to find something that works for them. Thankfully, sertraline's worked for me off the gate a bit. It took time. Some people have negative reactions from SSRIs. It's bad for them. It doesn't work. So it all depends on your body chemistry. Speak with your doctor and figure that out. It may not be for you. I have heard horror stories, so I'm not a doctor. I can't recommend what's good for you. It's working for me as far as I can tell. I'm not a doctor, but it has helped me. It's like a 20 to 30% like Band-Aid. It's what it is. That's why I don't want to be on it the rest of my life, but it helps, with daily stressors and anxiety. It does. I mean, like my OCD issues are still there at times. It might diminish it a little bit, but I still get my thought loops from OCD and that. I just learned to live with it. It's not like detrimental to my life. I still repeat the piano scale forward and backwards every morning. C, D, F, G, A, B, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Just stupid stuff that's irrelevant. I don't know how to explain it. I don't like to end on threes, but I'll force myself to do it so then I get more comfortable with it. It's weird. OCD is a weird thing. I made a video on it, and if you have it, you'll get it. If you'll understand. If you don't, it's going to sound insane, but it's just like, I already made a video on this. It gets weird. Like, things have to be perfect in symmetry. Like on my shelf, if things aren't evened out, they have to be evened out. Like on the top shelf with my grails on my retros, there's like 3 pieces on each end. And if one's missing a piece, it'll drive me nuts until it's fixed. Just weird stuff like that. Like some people have it with cleaning. I'm like that when I'm in the mood. I'm just a little lazy. So I just don't care about being obsessive with cleaning. I can be though. Like I can go on like a 2-hour clean bender, you know, and that's where the OCD comes out. But yeah, it helps a bit with that, but the overall anxiety caused from that and the stress, it helps a lot more with that. It's very mentally exhausting having OCD. And if you don't have it, you're not going to understand it because it's not going to make sense. But people that have it, when I like listen to like documentaries on it or like people talk about it that have it, I completely relate to them. And I recommend Soft White Underbelly. There's a guy who has a profession as a clown, and he has like severe OCD, and he's on sertraline, I think, but he talks about his life with severe OCD, and it completely makes sense. The way he counts, anything that's like dirtiness that he has to like clean himself, objects being in the right spots. He talks about marijuana use, how it would keep him in like thought loops. That's why I don't smoke, and I haven't smoked in a long time because of anxiety and my OCD. And he explained it perfectly. Like marijuana for me, like makes my OCD go haywire. And people that don't have OCD, they're like, oh no, you'll get used to it. If you just smoke through it for a couple weeks, you'll be used to it. They don't have OCD. They may have had anxiety, but the OCD thought loops are a nightmare while smoking. And I had nothing against weed. If I didn't get that, like if genetically I wasn't built like this, I think I would love smoking. You know, it just does not work for me. Alcohol sort of just suppressed me down, and it would just diminish. It diminishes your central nervous system. I'm dyslexic. So I just wouldn't think as much, right? That's why I think I liked alcohol so much. Weed will like stuck in thought loops, and I'll be thinking about, I know it like makes you confront yourself and things that make you feel uncomfortable, but with OCD, it's like, it's wild, the thought loops. So yeah, that is what it is. But yeah, it's been a help. I'd recommend trying it. If it's not for you, you can wean off of it at any time. You just have to be careful about it. You just don't want to stop from like a 100 to 0. And that's my take on sertraline, my experience. I have in total like 1.5 years experience on it. And the only other thing that will happen, it's annoying having to take the pill, and then you'll forget if you took it. You know, you got to get used to that every day. And then it will give you like a hit of like, it's like fake happiness. You'll like just feel happiness, but you'll feel happy, but you can tell it's not like natural. I think it's the serotonin being built up, and you'll just be like happy and laughing about out of nowhere once in a while. I mean, like all the time, like you're manic, like, but you can definitely tell the meds are there, and it's sort of like the fake energy coffee gives you, right? Like it's not real energy. It's sort of like a fake serotonin rush. It's what it is. And it's not a natural one, you know? And I've always worried, like, if you get off the meds, will it mess with your serotonin levels? It very well could. Like, I'm not a doctor. It very well could. But from my experience, going 3 years without it when I weaned off the first time, it didn't really affect me. I just went back to being a bit more irritable and angry. You know what I mean? But just from alcoholism and drug use in general, it's already going to mess with your serotonin. So what do you have to lose, right? But I'm not going to say, like, if you go on 100, 200 milligrams for 4 or 5 years and then get off, will it mess with those serotonin levels? Probably, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Or it could maintain the same. Your brain could adjust accordingly. Who knows? Your body's very resilient. But just throwing it out there. Figured I'd be open about it. I wanted to have a few months back on it before I really spoke about it. I hinted around it a few months ago. But yeah, take it easy. Have a great day.